Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show. This side of Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. I think now we're west of the 51st state, Greenland, south of the 52nd state, Canada. God knows where the 53rd state's going to be. I am intern Andrew. Russ is bravely battling an illness from home.
106 fever from what I heard.
Yes. And Ant, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When we're shorthanded, who was all reliable here in Wells Fargo Center?
The best of the shorthanded. It's like he's best penalty killer there is, Bill Meltzer.
Wow, there we go.
Look at that. Jumping in yet again. Last time it was for me. This time it's for Russ.
Always a pleasure.
Good to have you back on the program. Flyers coming off of an ugly one in New Jersey. 5-0 shutout loss to the Devils, which was, look, maybe the final score was not what you expected, but when you play a team 3 times in 11 days,
sure.
you can't really expect to beat them all 3 times. So it just seemed like inevitable that they would lose the game. Maybe not 5-0, but I thought that last night was pretty much a lock it in loss.
To lose it, yeah. Well, listen, if you turn it off after the first period, it wasn't so bad.
That's right. That's right.
But obviously the wheels fell off quickly in the second period. Take a bad penalty late in the first and give up a goal early in the second, and off they went. You could definitely feel a loss coming. The only reason why maybe I thought they might not was because Heischer was out and because Markstrom was out. But once Devils got cranking, that was all she wrote. So.
Yeah. And, the Devils have been a little bit up and down lately.
Yeah.
And so, you thought, well, maybe you might be right. But I just feel like they wanted that game.
Yeah.
It meant a lot more to the Devils probably than it did to the Flyers.
Desperate team?
Not so much a desperate team because they're still pretty comfortable in the standings, but they lost to the Flyers twice. They didn't generate much of anything in either game, and you don't want to lose them 3 times, right? And they didn't like how they played in either game either.
Right.
So they're really kind of fired up to come out and rectify it.
Can I ask you a question, Anthony?
You may.
Because you guys have mentioned on Snow the Goalie, the regular podcast, that you believe the Flyers potentially could be a playoff team if they get the goaltending. Well, I'm curious what your guys' level of concern is that now 4 out of the last 5 games to the Flyers, they've scored 1 or fewer goals in regulation. The goal scoring just hasn't been here.
No, it hasn't. And the reason that I have made that statement had been that I like the team play that the Flyers play. And I ultimately think that defense and goaltending wins out over offense in the playoffs, all right? And so if that's the way you're playing down the stretch in the regular season, odds are you're going to get some points and get going in the right direction. So I felt like the team play has been there. They take away the middle of the ice. They limit chances for the other team. But, in the last 5 games or so, the offense has not been there either. So no matter how good the goaltending is, and except for last night, not that it was bad.
The Rangers wasn't good either.
Not that it was bad goaltending. No, but not that it was bad goaltending, but it was that, Urson had been playing really well. Even if he was at the top of his game, they still lose that game. I agree.
Probably, yeah. But I would also say the goaltending kind of bailed them out in that Detroit game. Only one goal in regulation for the Flyers, but only 1 goal allowed, so they get to overtime and then get the overtime winner.
Yeah, the Detroit game was kind of a funky one because if you remember, late in that second period, Konechny was right point blank and he hit the crossbar, and then he hit the post again in the third period. So that ended up going to there weren't a ton of chances in that game really for either team, but the Flyers had opportunities to really take control of it and they slipped away. So that you end up finding yourself in overtime. You're 100% right that the offense has been missing the last 5 games. If you go over the 25, 26 games before that, that's a significant stretch. The Flyers were 4th in the NHL in scoring. So they were scoring. Now the scoring is dried up.
Right.
It's the rare time, particularly the way things have gone with the Flyers, where you have kind of everything working together. Flyers had that stretch where they were scoring, where they were defending decently, but the goaltending wasn't there.
Right.
And then the goaltending came around a little bit. That's where the Flyers had that 5-0-1 stretch where things were kind of working for them, but now the offense is AWOL. So.
All right, so the last thing I think that we should mention before we move on to tonight's game, Owen Tippett, you guys told me he's out of the lineup tonight after that. He left the game early.
Yeah.
Bad hit, or a vicious hit by Brendan Dillon. I think Torts was pretty animated on the ice, and I think he was quoted after saying he watched it back and he thought it was clean. We're all in agreement that was a clean hit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's borderline to me. Like, it could have been a charge, even though the puck is there. So I think Torts was freaking out that it was interference,
Yes.
right, Bill? Right? So, like, he was freaking out that it was interference, which it wasn't because the puck was there. But if you watch Dillon coming at him, it's clear that his intention is to hit the guy coming in. And so you can, when the puck is there, call it a charge. And I kind of felt like there was a borderline charge there, right? I mean, possibly.
Well, yeah, when you deliver the hit, right, the question is, did his feet leave the ice because of the impact, or did he jump into the hit? I've watched it enough times to think that he had a little bunny hop into the hit. It wasn't crazy like he jumped at him, but still, there was enough there where he did leave his feet a little bit. You can call that a charge. So
Yeah.
Did it remind you of the Umberger Brian Campbell hit at all, or no?
Well, remind?
Yeah. Because that was the first thing that I thought of, honestly.
No, because Owen Tippett got up.
That's a fair point.
yeah.
I can still remember R.J. Umberger laying on the. I was there in Buffalo when that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember sitting there going to myself, R.J. Umberger's dead.
I don't think he knew where he was.
I think he's dead on the ice.
Great.
Yeah.
Different point of impact.
Yeah, definitely different point of impact.
All right, so coming into tonight, the Islanders are still 1 point behind the Flyers in the standings, but 3 games in hand. I think they've won 5 in a row coming into this game. This could be a dangerous spot for the Flyers, and as Bundy always mentions, you can't lose to teams in your division if you want to try to climb the standings and make the playoffs. So this is a big game for them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a big game. I mean, it's funny because when you're chasing, like the Flyers are, every game's a big game, right? Every time you play, the next game is a big game. And you can sit there and say, well, this might be the biggest game of the season, or this might be the big... The reason it's a big game is twofold. A, if you want to get back into the race, and you're only a few points out, it's not like they're buried. You want to get the 2 points tonight, right? So that's point number 1.
Ideally in regulation.
Yeah, but point number 2 is you don't want to fall back behind another team.
Right.
And the Islanders win this game. Now it's yet another team you got to get back in front of if you want to make the playoffs.
Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
I was going to say, with only one head-to-head game left, too.
Yeah, that
the
too.
third one.
You did mention on Snow the goalie, like the teams that are currently with the last 2 wild card spots, the Flyers are not that far behind, but the problem is there's like 4 teams in between them. So I mean, you're juggling. Plus, those teams are going to play each other, so one of them is guaranteed to get a win.
Yeah, and like I said on Snow the goalie, like I don't even consider Tampa in the mix there. Like I think Tampa is superior.
Yeah.
And they're going to ultimately get into the top 3 in their division. They've played the fewest games in the conference, and I think that they're going to get back in front of Ottawa, and who knows, maybe even catch Toronto. I mean, Toronto's not looked great lately. I know Toronto is a team that's desperately looking to add to kind of clean up some holes that they have. So it wouldn't surprise me if Tampa gets up there. So really, who are you chasing if you're the Flyers? And it comes, Ottawa, Boston, Columbus. Like, all of those teams are catchable.
Yeah.
Every last one of them is. But I don't know. And I've said this repeatedly, I don't think the Flyers get there because I don't trust their goaltending.
For sure. Well, look, when was the last win the Flyers had with a goalie other than Urson? And you got to go back to early December for it. It was Kolosov.
Yeah. And that's not. And look, Fedotov had a couple good starts in there too.
No, he has.
So it wasn't like it was bad goaltending. It was just some of it's been bad luck. But you need consistent goaltending, and that's not what they have.
Or you look at the last game against the Islanders, where I thought Fedotov was pretty good, except for 1 goal, and that made a 2-1 game to a 3-1 game.
And the quote that we've heard several times now, and Torts is now saying it a lot. And believe me, it's deliberate when he says it because he wants the message to get out there without killing his players to say, if we only had one more save.
Yep.
You know what that means? The goalie's not doing a good enough job.
Exactly.
When he says, if we only had one more goal, the offense isn't doing a good enough job.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying to you. So when you hear that repeatedly, it tells you the coach is not necessarily too thrilled with the goaltending either.
I thought Lee Carrasso had a pretty good question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any line shakeup due to Tippett being out, or are they just going to slot Abels into Tippett's spot?
No, I think Farabee goes up to that spot on the top line, right?
Yeah.
Lawton moves to the third line with Coots and Mishkov.
Yeah, and the thing with Lawton, of course, he can always slide over the wing.
Right.
And Abels will be your fourth center.
And Abels goes to the fourth line with Anthony Richard and Garnet Hathaway. So I think that's the combo there. Adam Ginning into the lineup tonight. Flyers recalled him today. He's replacing Eric Johnson. He was a healthy scratch, but I think that was the intent was don't play him because we're calling him up. It's not that he wasn't playing well for the Phantoms. A lot of people, Bill, flipping out today when I put that out on Twitter this morning. Like, why are they calling up Ginning but not calling up Emil Andre? And but there's no reason to answer the question because I'm going to throw something else out. And we can discuss both of them. I've been told that, and things could change based off this game. Obviously, this happens sometimes. How guys play in a game, if somebody else gets hurt, things could always, be different. But I've been told that Andre will be called up for the next couple of games, and that if he is called, but when he is called up, assuming everybody stays healthy, that he might replace a player in the lineup, a regular defenseman in the lineup, and that guy's Cam York.
Who was scratched once this year already.
Already been scratched once this year.
Yeah.
They haven't been thrilled with him really. Like he got, after his scratch, he started to play a little bit better, and then he's kind of fallen back off again. They're putting him back with Travis Sanheim tonight. I think that they didn't like the Drysdale-Sanheim pairing.
Right.
Is it almost like a situation where you're like, Cam York's got to go out and have a good game tonight, or else that could be the change that happens?
I do think that's potentially the case. Obviously, you're a little bit banged up. Things can change quickly. But yeah, he's the guy that definitely I think needs to have a good game tonight.
Yeah.
I think sometimes with Cam is that he rose the bar so much last year, where this year he's making sometimes kind of mental mistakes, having letdowns that were not the case a year ago, and I think that's where the concern is. And in terms of why Yinning tonight, and then you go with Andre, what typically gives the Flyers trouble against the Islanders? It's down low in the zone.
Right.
So you have, Adam is a more physical guy, bigger guy. And then you might make the switch next game.
And not only that, when he was at his best in the short stint that he was here last year, it was when he played with Ristolainen.
Right.
The two of them actually played well together, so they're going to be paired together today. Like I said, York and Sanheim, and then it'll be Sealer and Drysdale is your third pair. So it's interesting, but yeah, I keep hearing Emil Andre is back. And that's what's going to, he'll be back against Colorado on Sunday. People are asking, would you move Cam York in a trade? And I got to say that I don't think it's anything that's like, oh my God, let's dump this guy. He's never going to be what we think he's going to be.
Right.
Like look, progression for young players, especially defensemen, is not linear. Right? So he had a lot like, look at Noah Cates, right? 2 years ago, he was getting votes for Selke. And then last year he was not very good, and now all of a sudden he's proving that he's a third-line center in the NHL, right?
Since late November.
Right.
He started the year as a healthy scratch.
Right.
He got the slow start, then he got rolling.
But you could see that sometimes you have that gap year.
For sure.
Right, for young players.
For sure.
This could well be a Cam York year like that, right? And then next year, all of a sudden, he's really good again. But that being said, if you're going to go and try and chase a 1C in a trade,
you have to give to get.
You have to give up something to get it. You're not trading Konechny and you're not trading Mishkov, right? You pretty much, and you can't trade Sanheim because of the no trade clause. who are you giving up to get something?
It has, in order to, well, especially if you're acquiring a center, it has to be a center or it has to be a defenseman. It's not gonna be a winger unless it's just a superstar winger.
Right.
So it has to be a center or a defenseman. What defenseman do you have to move? Well, process of elimination.
Right. And everybody's going to say, well, just trade Ristolainen. But I'll tell you what, the way he's played,
Yeah.
I think that's the tough. And I've said this already. So this isn't like I'm just throwing something new out here. That is a tougher decision for me than almost any of the other names that the Flyers have discussed or anybody's discussed as the Flyers potentially trading. I think Risto has gone from being, yeah, let's get him out of here, even if we have to eat some of the salary, to now being like, well, yeah, we could probably get a first-round pick for him, but do we really want to?
Yeah.
Because how are we replacing him?
Yeah, I think that of all the testaments to Brad Shaw, the number one guy is Ristolainen. And you look at Risto's career arc, where he was, that's a guy who was a 40-point defenseman at one point, right? A power play regular.
Yeah.
But he was a liability. It's a guy who led the league in hits, who was up near the top in block shots, but he ran out of position all the time, right? What Brad Shaw has worked with him on is keeping his feet moving and playing within himself more, and now you have a hell of a defenseman.
Yeah, and so like I think it's a tough call.
Yeah.
And look, if I'm listing players, I do think the Flyers ultimately, because I look at the schedule and I look at how tough it's going to be for them, and I think come the trade deadline, they're going to find themselves 5, 6, 7 points out and be like, all right, we're selling, right? I ultimately think that's what's going to happen. And I do think that there's probably 2 to 3 guys that can get moved off this roster. And I'm not convinced that any one of those 2 to 3 guys is going to be Rasmus Ristolainen. I really think that you're looking at guys like Scott Lawton, like Morgan Frost, like Owen Tippett, maybe is a possibility.
He was not on Hilf's letter to the fans.
It was an interesting thing. It's an interesting catch, right?
Even right after they signed him to an 8-year extension?
Well, I mean, why isn't he mentioned in that letter by the chairman or the CEO about the exciting future of the Flyers?
Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second. There was one other thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys. If we're talking about, if the Flyers are going to make a push for the playoffs or if they're going to sell, the interesting thing is we still have a little bit of time, but the trade deadline is March 7th.
Yes.
Which is right in the middle of that 7-game homestand that the Flyers have.
Yeah.
Which, if you're the Flyers and you're looking to make a push, that would be probably the stretch that you would want to try to do it, is right when you have 7 home games in a row. Maybe that's when you go balls to the wall and go for it.
But you can't be.
But you got to make that decision beforehand.
You can't be chasing at that point. I mean, you can if you're like 2 to 4 points at most. 4 is the most.
But
to me.
maybe they will be. Is my point.
Could be.
So like if they get hot at the end of February and going into the 7-game homestand, is there a possibility that Danny has thoughts that, okay, we're probably going to sell, but then he checks the standings and he's like, well, we've actually been pretty good lately. We have a shot at this.
Well, they did. He sold last year. When
Sean Walker and the Flyers were in a playoff position.
Same thing,
That's
right?
a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it happened last year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it will happen. I mean, I do think that this will happen. I just think that I think it's a tougher call on Risto. A lot of people have been asking, and this is because fans go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs sometimes, about Elias Pettersson. Flyers should go get Elias Pettersson. And sounds great, right? Because guys like that aren't always available. Right? The Vancouver situation is wild, what's going on out there. I'm not sure that they trade both JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. I do think one.
Either or, yeah.
I think it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Pettersson's got a big contract, right? $12 million a year, I think it is, right? So if you're trading for that and you got to make that room, you're probably going to have to get rid of some salary too. Whether it's going back to Vancouver, whether it's in a subsequent deal somewhere else. So you got to get really, really creative. But the thing that I always want to point out to fans is that, well, are the Flyers in on Elias Pettersson? The Flyers would be stupid, and any GM would be stupid, to not call the Vancouver Canucks and say, all right, what are we talking here? Right? Like, so 29 teams are in on Elias Pettersson.
Right.
Okay. All right, let's be honest about it. But if you're looking at it and say, well, what is that going to cost? like a player. Like you just saw with when Mikko Rantanen gets traded, what had to be included in that trade.
That's not a trade the Flyers could have made on either side of it because they couldn't get that player.
Right.
They didn't have the what would take to trade for him. So
yeah. So I'm not. You could try. You could get creative. You have assets. You have multiple. You have 6 draft picks in the first 2 rounds. Maybe you sit there and say, okay, we're willing to give up 1 or 2 of those, and a young player, maybe a Cam York kind of thing, right? Maybe you sit there and go, we could do that. We'll give you a 1 and 2 in York for Elias Pettersson. And you say, okay, that's a fair offer. But I would guarantee you that there are probably a dozen other teams who could do better than that.
Yeah.
And really, would you give up more for Pettersson and create more holes and give up assets to do that? Yeah. I'm not convinced that makes this team any better. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, makes you a little bit better offensively, but it takes away from what you already have. Yeah. You have to replace a hole on the team. Right. And, oh, by the way, we just gave up 2 other draft pick assets as well.
Assets, and if I'm Vancouver, I'm asking for Luchenko is one of the pieces of it too.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I'm asking, definitely a first. I want Luchenko as part of it.
Right. So the question: would you give up a 1, Luchenko, and York for Pettersson, and salary? You got to give up somebody else too, right? There's got to be some salary going somewhere too, right?
And you also have to evaluate. Okay, is Pettersson capable of being your centerpiece player, right? Or is he more of on a top end team? Is he your second
line center? Yeah. That's where I think he ultimately is on a championship team. He comes here, he becomes the number 1 center, no question about it.
Oh.
But does the team get past the Claude Giroux years with Elias Pettersson as the number 1 center?
No.
That's really what you become. Exactly. And so everything that the fans have complained about being mediocre, about being in the middle of the pack, yeah, okay, you get a little bit more exciting offensively, but you've created a situation where the team isn't as good around it, and you've given up the assets that you've accrued for a guy that is not a lock, stock, and barrel number 1 center on a Stanley Cup contending team. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't mean that they won't be a better offensive team. It's just probably not. He's not enough to get you where you want to go.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And again, it's not a knock on the player. It's just in reference to what you have in the organization, how the pieces would fit together. If you had even a almost semi-equivalent piece, so it's a 1A, 1B kind of thing, but as opposed to him just being your absolute franchise player, he's your 1C. Now you're going up against a Matthews type or whatever, and he's your guy. Does that get you there to where you're a contender?
Yeah, I don't think it does. I know fans do. I know a lot of fans do, and I understand it. I understand the desire and the want and all that. I'm just telling you that I don't see it, and I really think that if they were to make a trade like that, it ultimately wouldn't benefit the team. Ultimately, it may benefit short term, may improve your offense, may make you a little bit better, but all in the grand scheme, it puts you right back where you've been all along.
Yeah.
You like Luchenko that much?
It's not that. It's not that. It's the reality of the situation is that you have many needs on this team right now, right? It's not just 1 center. You probably need 2. You really don't have a number 1 defenseman right now, right? I mean, you have a 2.
You don't think Sanheim's a true number 1?
Not a Stanley Cup.
No.
Okay.
Not on a Stanley Cup team. No. That's what I'm saying. Like, what are we trying to get to? Are we trying to get to being a regular playoff team that gets bounced in the first or second round every year? If that's what you're trying to get to, make the trade. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's fine. That's
I don't
what you
make
want.
the decisions.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you want to become a Stanley Cup team, you can't go get that player now. You could go get that player 2 years from now, or next summer of 26. You want to go out and sign that guy or trade for that guy, because then you're going into a much better cap situation. Fine, I'm all in favor then. Doing it now, I'm not certain that this is the guy. There might be better players available and down the road.
Yeah, and I'll just put out a scenario. It's not based on anything. But given what happened last offseason with offer sheets, where suddenly it's not as taboo as it was.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, maybe, right? Now, who do you put an offer sheet out on? Would a guy like just Gabe Velarde?
Right.
So is he really a number one? Probably not. Would you have to pay him like a number one to make an offer where they wouldn't match it? You might have to, but the point being, there's many ways, there's different ways you can get there.
Right. And the idea is that fans are overvaluing a player here. Like, Elias Pettersson's a very good player. He is not the number one center of a Stanley Cup championship team. It's just not. I'm sorry. He's not the number one center on a Stanley Cup championship team.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
That's it. And you can disagree with us all you want out there, and that's perfectly fine. You're entitled to that opinion. I'm never going to tell you that you can't have that opinion, but I'm going to sit here and tell you you're probably wrong.
All right, so why don't we get into this, because we got about 8.5 minutes before the anthem.
Okay.
You mentioned the letter that Hilferty put out to the fans.
Yes.
This happened right after you guys had finished recording your regular Snow the Goalie episode.
Yep.
The season ticket prices are going to be raised for the first time in 6 years.
It's so funny because as soon as we stopped recording, as soon as we stopped hitting record, I got the message. Like, it was literally like they waited. The person who texted me waited specifically for that show to go off the air before I got.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't there. Did Russ try to drag you guys back into the studio to extend the episode?
Because I didn't tell Russ about it until after I got home.
Would he have?
Yes.
See, I know him. I'm getting to know him pretty well. I think I know him well. He absolutely would have done like in the Marvel movies, they do like a post-credit scene.
And give me credit as the veteran reporter who knows better than to tell Russ in the moment, right, that something like that's happened.
Yeah. No, that was good.
Right.
All right. So you alluded to it a little bit to me off the air. If you want to get into more detail as to on the air,
yeah.
Why? What's the reason for them doing this?
They haven't raised season ticket prices in 6 years.
Yeah.
Name me another team in the four major professional sports who has gone that long without raising season ticket prices.
The Kraken.
All right, they've not been around for 6 years. You're right. Fair. Okay. All right. Minus
Andrew.
Minus the Kraken, who haven't been around for 6 years. The answer is nobody, okay? No other team has done that. The NHL is a gate-driven league. Like, every team, not just the Flyers, every team, the way that the money is structured is for teams to make money, and it is a business, folks. For any team to make money, they need to have good attendance. Right, Bill? I mean, this is not, I'm not speaking completely out of school here, right?
100%.
All right. So, at some point, you have to raise your prices. Teams do it every year all over the place. The Flyers haven't done it since before COVID. And in the time since, they put $450 million into the renovation of this building.
Yeah.
And at no point prior to this did they raise the prices of the tickets for their fans. Now, again, and I say this to you fans, I understand why you would be upset by this now, because the product hasn't gotten much better in the last 6 years. So why is this the time that they're doing it? Of course, it has to kind of coincide with a lot of other things that have been out in the news lately, specifically the new partnership with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're going to build a brand new arena, and the timeline on that probably got pushed up by about a year or two, right? I mean, I don't think that they really thought initially that they were going to build a new arena for the Flyers before 2031. Now they're going to, right? So I think that got pushed up a little bit. So that is part of it. But at the same time, you're not going to find this anywhere. I mean, the Phillies, the Eagles, and the Sixers all raised season ticket prices within the last couple of years. Now, yes, they've been better teams, and you say, well, you equate the success of the team to the cost of the ticket.
You would think.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you haven't done it, as long as this team's not done it, it's kind of hard to say, keep it at pre-pandemic prices. You know, the cap's going up. You got to pay more money for players.
Yeah.
All of this, it changes.
Elias Pettersson's not free.
There you go. Elias Pettersson is not free. The one thing I will say, and this is the one level of criticism that I will throw towards the Flyers as far as this is concerned, is I do feel like the increase was too much all at once. So, like, if you were going to do this increase, maybe do it in portions, right? So they said $5. The average is $5 a ticket, and it really is. That's the average. But the reality of it is that there are a lot of fans, a lot of season ticket holders who are paying a lot more than that. First example I'll give you: if you had seats in the first couple rows of the 200 level, your ticket price went up $10 per ticket per game, not $10 total. 10
Right.
per ticket per game. That's $820 more
You get times 41.
that you're paying next year for season tickets. That's a lot of money for some people, right? Now, Ice Row, of course, you probably got you got a little bit more cash if you've got season tickets on Ice Row. They went up $52 per ticket per game, which we figured out is like $4,200 more
for 2 tickets.
Yeah. Right? Okay, over if you have 2 seats. So that's a lot of money all at once. Maybe if they would have brought it in phases, a little bit next year and then a little bit more the year after, I think fans would probably have been a little bit more understanding.
I actually don't know that, because if you keep making multiple announcements that you're raising prices, I think they get more and more riled up each time. I think maybe this was the better decision to just rip the Band-Aid off.
It could be. Could be.
If they keep in and then they don't raise it again for another few years, then, you know, you deal with the flack right now, but then in the future you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
That's just a theory of mine.
Yeah.
Bill, real fast before we let you go, we did get a super chat here from Tony Louie. He's asking what the potential trade value if the Flyers trade Scott Lawton and or Rasmus Ristolainen.
Ristolainen, I think, gets you a first-round pick.
Yep.
Now, it might be conditional. You know, a team's contending, it's probably a late first-round pick, but a first-round pick. And it's a great asset.
Quick question on that before you go in and answer the Lawton part of it. Do you think with the Flyers having 3 firsts already next year that they would say, let's bump it to 26?
Push it back a year. Yeah, you try to spread out the assets a little bit, especially because this isn't a particularly deep draft, so it gets to be overkill. Now, maybe you package a couple first rounders and move up or whatever. But no, I think you try to have it for 2026 and go from there. With Lawton, there was a window of time in one case, I know 100% for a fact, where there was potentially a first round pick for them. It wasn't this season, but I don't think you're getting a first round pick for them at this point. So,
but you might get a second.
You might get a second,
because I do think that Cup contending teams look at a guy like Scott Lawton and see the value that he brings both off the ice as much as he does on.
Right. But okay, so say it shakes out about the range, it might be about the 60th to 64th pick. Given his value on the penalty kill, in the locker room, etc., is that enough incentive to make that move?
Yes.
Do you? Okay.
Yes. For me, it is.
Okay.
For me, it is. I think it's time. All right, Bill.
Give me a score prediction.
We need a score. We need a pick for the game.
Okay. Islanders are at the bottom of the NHL in both ends of special teams, because the Flyers aren't much better lately. But I will say the Flyers get 2 power play goals tonight, and they will win 3-2.
Okay.
I said 4-3 Flyers.
And I think Russ agreed with you, although I think his score was different.
I think he was 3-2.
Yeah. And Bundy and I both picked the Islanders.
Yes.
Tonight. I said 4-3, and I think Bundy said 3-2 Islanders.
The tweet is out there somewhere.
Yeah, so we split our picks today.
All right.
Bill, thanks again, once again, coming in, killing the penalty to help the shorthanded Snow the Goalie Press Row show. You're the best, my friend. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Thank you, Bill. Is Bundy coming on, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's just go.
All right.
By the time they change seats and switch over, we have 20 seconds before the anthem.
All right.
So we'll see everybody at first intermission.
Yes. I'll see you then. We are back after the first 20 minutes. This is the Press Row Show, #1 rated pregame, intermission, postgame show this side of Mississippi, south of the circle, north of the equator, and then northwest and east of a bunch of other states. I'll give Bill Meltzer his due credit. He did say in pregame the Islanders were weak on special teams. Adam Pelech takes a double minor, and the Flyers are able to capitalize on the power play. So it's 1-0, right?
Not quite.
Why not?
Well, because, and Bundy, I want you to kind of address this because, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just old school, but so the Islanders challenge for goalie interference on Morgan Frost, and they win the challenge, and so Mishkov's goal is taken off the board, and I guess by rule, what occurred there was goalie interference, but to me, if you're interfering with a goalie, you are taking away his ability to make a save.
I agree.
And in that instance, there was a graze of Sorokin that did not in any way whatsoever impact his ability to stop that puck. And they take it off the board. I don't necessarily know what is and what isn't goalie interference.
There's some calls that are so obvious that you can't deny them. And then there was this one tonight where it was hardly anything. Like, I couldn't, you and me were both shocked they even called the challenge. I'm like, Waz going to put his team back on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. So, I don't know who makes that call, but I mean, that was almost nothing. Like, the league has to do better than that.
Yeah, and not only that, Bundy, and I think Greg Mack said it, and I think he was spot on. I think Sorokin kind of bumps him with the blocker barely. I mean, again, it was a graze, but I think it's more Sorokin coming forward and grazing the back of Frost than Frost backing into the goalie. Like,
yeah, I
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And again, that's something that the GMs are going to have to take and do a review on. Now, as one of our listeners said here, they said that it was Greg Mack said he impeded the goalie from throwing out his blocker. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, but there wasn't a whole lot there. And all it took was for Sorokin to immediately start barking about it right when it happened. Like, he looked right away like, look, I couldn't get my glove up, or his blocker, rather. And then they went right to the review, and Waugh didn't waste any time. I was shocked. I thought they'd be going back on the penalty kill. We both did, Anthony.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a good goal, and it's unfortunate for the Flyers because it was a solid first period for them. I thought that they started a little slow, but I think after the fight, and I'm going to put that in air quotes because I don't think Scott Lawton landed a punch.
Wasn't a whole lot, but at least he stood up.
But he stood up against
Siplakov.
At least
Siplakov jumped in there too.
Yeah.
Like, at least he did.
He took it. He took it like a man.
Well, that was retribution, right?
For the hit on Paling. Yes, absolutely. But I felt like the Flyers started to get going a little bit after that fight. And I thought overall they had a solid period. To be honest, the only guy that really stood out for me, and we talked about it briefly off air, Bundy, was Bo Horvat for the Islanders. It seemed like he had a few chances for them.
He did.
But other than that, like the Flyers, I thought, had the better period.
I thought the Flyers played well. I mean, they did a lot of good things. I thought they had good puck control in the offensive zone. I thought they locked down things in the defensive zone in terms of getting shots, subverting shots by the Islanders. The Islanders had more of their chances up the middle of the ice off the rush, and that's where you see Horvat had a couple chances. J.G. Pajot had a half breakaway that he just took a kind of a loopy shot on. Didn't really do any damage with it, but the actual play in the zone, the Flyers are winning those battles.
Yeah, look, we talked about this pregame. You weren't here, but at this point, at this juncture of the season, with so much kind of like happening as you're getting closer and closer. I know the trade deadline's not till March 7th, but you gotta, in these next handful of games, kind of decide who you are as a team. Are you going to push and make that push to make the playoffs, or are you not, and you're going to be a seller? And so each one of these games becomes a little bit more paramount.
Yep.
Right? And you don't want to fall behind another team in the standings. If you lose the Islanders tonight, you fall behind them, and you lose the season series to them.
Yes.
Right? Because they, right? So that's the other thing. So it becomes an important game in a lot of ways. And so taking that goal off the board, and even though you had a good period, it's still a little touch and go with this team right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, again, there's some injury situations now they're starting to deal with, which you didn't have any of the major players with Ryan Paling. And and Owen Tippett out of the lineup. That brings a lot of size and speed out of their lineup also. But I thought for the most part, I thought the lines that Tortorella juggled had actually been good moves. I think that there's been a little bit of chemistry with those 3 lines, especially that he did a lot of juggling with. And then the other line has been pretty good, effective getting on the forecheck. That's Lawton's group. So not a horrible period, not by any stretch of the imagination. 10-8 shots on goal for the Islanders.
It didn't seem like there were that many shots,
It
right?
did not. If you would have asked me blindly without looking what I thought it would have been, I would have thought the shots on goal were like 8-6 Flyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't seem like that. Fedotov had a solid period, I guess.
Yep.
You know, he didn't let anything. I thought there was the one, he made one really nice save that was through a screen, got his pad on it, and I think that's when you said Iron Giant.
Iron Giant.
Thank you for promoting the merch. I know it was only 20, having seen only 20 minutes, but did you think Tippett was a noticeable absence in that period or no?
Yeah, his energy and his skill, right? Carrying the puck up the ice when he gets his legs going and stuff. Yeah, no doubt about it. He's a good talent. You know, I mean, we'll talk about hitting the net. That's a whole different set of skills. But in terms of what he does and brings that big, fast energy to the lineup, I think you definitely miss him in the lineup tonight.
I will say, even though that the goal comes off the board, that I did like some of what I saw on the power play while they were set up in the Islander zone.
I agree.
Right? I mean, they were patient, but not too patient. They created the space that they needed and made a couple nice plays. Frost makes a nice pass to Bobby Brink, little touch pass from the side of the net to Brink in the slot. Sorokin makes the save on that. Konechny had a shot that just missed high and wide. Mishkov obviously scores, but the goal comes off the board which I thought was a good Frost screen before we saw the replay and thought it was a BS call. But I will say, even though they don't score on a 4-minute power play, that was slightly encouraging the way it was set up there.
Yeah, the first 2 minutes was. The second 2 was not. After Pelech went back into the box because of the non-call on the goal. It was not a good second power. But the first one, they had a lot of possession time, trying to get shots through. And let's face it, I mean, really, that goal, I mean, you could. It's not a goal, but it was a goal.
Right.
Like, at least the execution was done accordingly, and the Flyers should have been rewarded for that non-call.
Yeah, as our buddy Joe Papel says, only one shot on goal in the 4 minutes. But again, that's a misleading thing there, Joe, because they did have the one shot, like I said, was Brink. Konechny literally just missed hitting the top corner on his shot, so that's a shot that just misses wide. And then, of course, Mishkov's shot is on goal, but it gets taken off and doesn't count as a shot, right? So, I mean, in essence, they really had 3 that were really close, and they just don't cash in. So it's a little bit misleading of a stat.
Just had an Islander fan with those ugly orange jerseys just taking a picture of our table here.
Yeah.
Those I don't know who that was, like a real bad. Remember that they had that fisherman?
Oh,
Yes,
it was the Morton's fisherman, right? Or is that what it was? Or
what a hideous uniform!
Terrible thing.
Just terrible.
Yeah.
Then they went orange for a while. Like, I don't know if they were trying to be the Flyers.
Yeah.
But that was an ugly Islander jersey. Thanks for the memories.
For sure.
Someone actually spent money on that and bought it, and then brought it here.
Speaking of stats, it's about that time.
It is.
And so the funny thing is that intern Andrew thought he was going to get away with this. Bundy, I got to tell a quick story before we get to his stat of the night. So I think you went off. I think you were either in the restroom or getting something somewhere else, and they announced the thing about Tortorella.
Yeah.
1600th game as coach. No, you were here because you saw him wave, right? You saw the wave. First American coach, 7th coach all time to reach 1600 games. And I turned to Andrew and he goes, "Oh man, that was my stat of the night." I was like, "Did you honestly think they weren't going to bring that up in the game tonight?"
I wasn't disappointed. I was just pointing out, like, I know, because I had that prepared.
Yes.
Did you like his wave?
It's fine.
It's kind of like a little.
I don't know. What's he supposed to do?
It's better than nothing. I thought he wasn't going to do anything.
Like a big hole, like, thank you very much. No, it was fine. It was totally fine.
Spin like Michael Scott in The Office.
But so you have a backup stat, though, for the stat of the game,
Well, no,
right?
I didn't say it, but I said I was going to add to it, that he was
there's
7th
more.
coach, and I was going to read off the other 6 that have gotten to 1,600 games.
Oh.
Do you know any of them?
Scotty Bowman, for sure.
Yeah,
He's one.
For sure.
Toe Blake.
No.
Hitch?
No.
He didn't make 1,600?
No.
Coach,
As a matter of fact, he's number 8.
Pounds or games?
pitch ended with 1,598.
Get out, really?
Yeah.
How about that? How about that?
That was like two of them coached the Islanders.
How about that? Al Arbor?
Yes.
Al Arbor for sure. Yeah.
1607 for him.
Scotty Bowman, Al Arbor.
Wow.
Boy, this is actually John Brophy. No way. No.
Laviolette's at 1562.
Is he that close?
Who is?
Laviolette.
Is he, huh?
Wow.
Well, who was the other? Wasn't there another American coach?
Oh, you know who did? You know who did get it? Did Pat Quinn get 1,600?
Yes.
No.
No.
Wow.
Pat Quinn, 1,400.
Oh, you know what? You know who's got to have it? The guy who's was in Jersey and went back to Buffalo. Lindy Ruff.
He's number 3.
Is he really?
Yeah, Lindy Ruff.
He coached Buffalo for like 16 years.
1824. You're still missing an Islanders coach.
About not that this goes with that direction, but how about Jacques Lemaire?
Oh, that's got to be a good one. No, that's a good guess.
No.
I like this though. I do like this one.
This isn't even the trivia.
Are any of them still coaching?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Huh.
Oh, well, you said Lindy Ruff, but
Yeah.
no, I don't think the other ones are.
Wow, 1,600. That's a lot of games. I mean, let's be honest.
I'm just trying to think of other guys that, like Barry Trotz has been around a while.
Barry Trotz.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah, because he was in Nashville, I forgot. And then he went to,
That was the other Islanders coach.
Wow. Now that's a tough one. That I didn't think Barry Trotz. You know what? You don't forget that Nashville's been in the league as long as they have.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
Number 2 and number 5 you're missing.
Wow.
Number 2 has got to be probably. Is it going back in the day?
A little bit, yeah.
Punch
but
Jimlock?
No.
When you say going back in the day to intern Andrew, he didn't know Peter Forsberg was drafted by the Flyers.
Yeah,
so
going back in the day.
going back in the day is only like the 90s for him.
Mike Keenan's not 1,600, is he?
Not quite.
No.
Pat Burns.
No.
That's a good guess, though. It's a great guess.
He coached a little bit more recent than I thought. He started coaching in the 90s.
We said Joel Quenneville,
Oh,
too. Right?
you know what? He is still a coach. I lied. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, if he started coaching in the 90s, he's still a coach. Paul Maurice.
He's number 2.
Paul Maurice.
Paul Maurice has been coaching since he's 27 years old.
Yeah, Paul Maurice.
I never got that one yet.
Yeah.
That's number who?
He
Number
was
5?
number 2?
He was 2. You're just missing number 5.
2 of all time.
Yeah.
How about that? Holy cow, he's number 2. Who the heck's 5? And we're forgetting. It's Glenn Sather.
No.
I mean, he coached Edmonton for all those years and then the Rangers later, right? Slats.
It's not Pat Quinn either. No, that's Roger Nielsen. Pat Quinn, no.
Not Roger Nielsen?
No.
I don't know. What's the last one?
Joe Quenneville.
Well, that's not that long ago.
I didn't say it was.
Didn't we just say Joel Quenneville?
No, we did not.
No.
We did not. By the way,
No, I didn't. No, I didn't say that.
You got a super chat from a fan.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my aunt again.
Yeah, I know. Your aunt.
It's nothing to
Aunt Maureen.
Yeah.
That's a good stat, though.
Thanks, Aunt Maureen.
Yeah.
That's
Elite
a very good
company.
stat.
Elite company now for Torts. 1,600 games.
Yeah. No, it's look, it's impressive.
1 of 7.
It's
That's a lot of games.
It's a lot of it's a lot of games coached.
Yeah.
It's a lot of games coached. So, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how the second period kind of starts to play out, Bundy, because it's weird because the first period there was a lot of good, but you're still not getting the offense going.
I'm having trouble scoring goals.
Trouble scoring the goals, right? Wish you had one more goal, right? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He's mishmashed the lines together without Tippett in there tonight. He's tried a couple different things. We didn't see a lot of Coots that period.
No.
I think got relegated to the fourth line. It's just kind of a.
Not a lot of flow in that first period. We'll see if they can find any flow, both teams. There's a lot of stop and starts and puck drops and whistles. One power play that was 4 minutes long. That is the Flyers' problem right now. It's generating offense. One thing they have to do a good job of here in this period, you're not going to win the game in the first shift. You're not going to lose it in the first shift either. But the Flyers, when they're making line changes now in this second period, they got to make sure they're leaving pucks in good places on the ice. Like if you're dumping the puck in, put it in a soft area where it's going to take them time to get it and then to regroup. Fatigue will play a factor in this game. The Islanders were off for 3 games before, and the Flyers are playing 3 games in 4 nights and a back-to-back. So,
by the way, in fact, our good friend Adam Kimmelman just tweeted this out. This is from the league on the coach's challenge for the goalie interference for that Patty Wach challenge. And here's the explanation from the league. Video review determined that Morgan Frost made contact with Ilya Sorokin in the crease, which impaired Sorokin's ability to play his position prior to Matvei Mishkov's goal. The decision was made in accordance with Rule 69.1, which states in part that goals should be disallowed only if an attacking player, either by his positioning or by contact, impairs the goalkeeper's ability to move freely within his crease or defend his goal. I still don't think it's accurate.
I still don't think it was enough there. There just wasn't enough there.
Yeah.
Fans will disagree with us because that is what the rule is, 69.1.
Yeah.
But I still don't like it. I mean, it doesn't mean we have to agree with it. I mean, there was hardly anything there. The NHL has enough problems with teams scoring goals. They don't need to start taking goals away that were clearly goals. Whether or not Frost was there, that puck was still going in the net. Now, the detractors will tell you, no, he would have got his blocker up and made the save. I don't believe that.
No.
I don't believe he had anything.
He never saw the shot.
He never
because
saw
it was
it.
being screened.
No.
So, like, even if there's no contact there, he's not seeing the shot. It's just a bad call in my mind. But anyway, we have a minute to go here, intern Andrew. Before second period.
Is that a better rule than the Eagles almost being awarded a touchdown just because the Commanders kept jumping off sides?
That would have been something if they did that.
I didn't know that rule existed.
That would have been hilarious.
Frankie Louvu.
Yeah. That would have been something else. Apparently, that happened only once in college football. Back in I want to say in like the 50s or 60s, where a guy came off the bench and tackled a guy was going to have an easy touchdown, and somebody from the other team came off the bench and tackled him, and the referee saw it, and they awarded the touchdown. That's the only time that a referee awarded a score.
I love those marathon runners that jump in halfway.
Yeah.
They used to be able to do it back in the day, pre-digital.
Yeah, for sure.
That's too bad.
For sure.
All right, second period is coming up. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back for the second intermission. Talk to you in a little bit.
See ya.
All right. We are back in. Well, I mean, that's basically my attitude after watching that. It was the period that we all feared.
And who are we?
This is the Press Row Show. I think we're the number 1 rated pregame intermission postgame show. This Justice for All.
You know what? It's been a minute since the Flyers scored a goal.
It has been. It's been a minute.
It's what, 5 periods now, right? Without a goal.
It's been tough offensive sledding for sure.
I said pregame. It's 4 out of the last 5 games for the Flyers. They've got 1 or fewer goals in regulation.
You did. I give you credit.
And it's just they're not getting any of the breaks. And I will say that, like, sometimes when something like that happens, like you score a goal and then it gets waved off, the wind is taken from your sails a little bit. But since that happened, I actually don't think they've played terribly. They outshot the Islanders in that period. So I guess that's just hockey sometimes.
Don't be misled by that, though. I mean, it's quality of chances, quality of shots. One of the keys I had on the pregame radio show today was the Flyers need to make sure that at the end of shifts they leave pucks. Actually, I said it here too, right? They put pucks in the right places on the ice to get a change because of the fatigue. And what happened on the second goal? They left the puck in what people would call hell on hockey earth. And that's how they ended up with a basically 2-on-0 with a one-man backtrack coming. And that's how the Islanders got their second goal. First goal, the Islanders score was just a shot by Holmstrom. It found the traffic. It wasn't a lot different than the goal that was actually scored when Mishkov scored earlier that was disallowed. Similar goal, but there was no interference on it. That made it 1-0 Islanders. And then the 2-on-0 late in the period, still plenty of game left. Sorokin looks unbeatable tonight, Anthony.
He does, but I want to interrupt what you're doing there, Bundy, for a minute. As you know, we've been sitting here doing some work, and there's been some conversations going on behind the scenes. We've been trying to nail it down here. The Flyers are working on a trade currently.
Oh, okay.
I don't have all the specifics. I do know that it is with the Calgary Flames. It's been reported by Frank Saravalli that the Flyers are making a trade with Calgary for Andrei Kuzmenko as part of the deal. I've been told there's more to it than that. I think you might see a couple guys leaving Philadelphia after tonight's game.
Do we know who?
I've heard names, but I don't have anything official.
Probably the usual suspects.
I don't have anything official.
But I don't know anything either.
So
is Russ awake?
I know, right? I know. Russ is awake. So I have a feeling you're going to hear something later tonight, at the very latest tomorrow. But it's been about since the first period. I've been sitting here on my phone.
I meant to ask you guys too. Did anybody happen to notice Morgan Frost getting hurt in that period?
No, I did notice him at the end of the bench with about 7 minutes to go in the second period.
And then was absent from the bench.
And then with about 2 minutes to go in the period, he was no longer on the bench. That doesn't mean that he is the guy that's going in this trade.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying I didn't see him on the ice.
It could be purely coincidental.
Maybe he had to poop.
Maybe he had the poops.
These things
it happens to all of us.
It could have had the poops.
That is brilliant, though, that the Flyers are working on a trade the one time Russ isn't here.
I know, right? Isn't that hysterical?
Problem with Russ.
Did Danny do that on purpose?
Russ would find out who it is and spill the beans.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Danny did it on purpose. He waited for the day that Russ wasn't here.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that he knew before the game that Russ wasn't going to be here.
Briere knew that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Briere knew before the game that Russ wasn't going to be here.
He's gonna have a fit when he finally wakes up and sees this clip.
Russ is sick tonight, in case anybody's wondering. I've never seen anybody get more sick than that guy.
106 fever, Bundy. 106.
Come on. Aren't you dead at that? Jesus, 106. Come on, you're fried by that.
106.
Brad Miller, is Russ gone because he's out brokering the trade?
That's what Russ is doing. They brought Russ in to broker the trade. Yeah, so it is. I couldn't say anything, and I wasn't even going to say anything during this intermission. But once Saravalli put it out there that it's a report, and we were talking about it earlier off air, and so now with that out there, I think it's safe for us to say it at this point. at least that the deal is
At
happening.
least something's going on anyway, right? Whether it
Well,
falls through
we
or
had
not.
confirmation, as you know, that something was going down.
So the way that it's looking right now, can you say it looks like Calgary's buying and Flyers are selling? Or can you say that yet?
Yeah. I think that's fair. Again, I don't have all of the details. I have a couple of them.
Okay.
And so, if it is what I think and what I've been told, although it's what the pieces. So let me phrase it this way. So there's whenever I get told something, I have to confirm it with somebody who can confirm it, like absolutely 100% before I report it. And so, all I've been able to get as far as confirmation from somebody who can report it is that yes, the trade is happening, and it is with Calgary, and it is for Kuzmenko. I've heard names and possibly even draft picks involved in this thing too.
Okay.
But those pieces of this trade, what came to me was not from an official source that can tell me that.
Okay.
Right? So therefore I can't report those specifics as part of the trade.
Right.
If
I hope everybody understands that.
right? I mean, there is a process to how this works, and this is something that I've been working since 7:15. Okay, or I'm sorry, 7:45. It was in the first period when I was told about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to take this time to officially confirm Kevin Hayes did not have anything to do with this?
He had his fingerprints are not on this
He's
one.
clean.
He's clean. He's clean on
exonerated
this
from
one.
this.
Before we go to trivia, too, I
all
wanted to make a comment, too, about something that happened in Ottawa yesterday. A beloved radio personality, Sean Simpson, in Ottawa, allegedly he lost his life yesterday because of depression and anxiety and stuff. And just want everyone to be aware of that. If you are struggling with stuff, don't leave it to yourself to try to handle it. Get people to help you. There's no shame in asking for help in anything you do. And just remember, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And I just want everyone to understand that. We've all been there. And if people do need help or a helping hand, there's a lot of people and a lot of love out there ready to support you. So I just wanted you to make that light. It was a big thing on Twitter today. Sean was a good guy. And it's a sad day for a lot of people that knew him.
Jeez, yeah. You want to plug the PA recovery real fast?
Yeah, I mean, PA Recovery is my spot in the city. We're located down in Chinatown, Pennsylvania Recovery Center in Center City. We're an addiction and mental health crisis center. And if anybody needs any help, we're always there for you. That's not really what I wanted to say. I just wanted to bring light to anybody struggling. Don't keep that stuff inside. Let it out, everybody.
Well said.
Thank you.
Before we get to trivia, one other thing about the game, the actual hockey game that's going on. I know it's pretty forgetful at this point, but so Brandon Sommerman, do you know him, Ant?
Yes.
Okay, so he tweeted, John Tortorella and Matvei Michkov were in a screaming match on the bench during the TV timeout. Michkov exited the zone and left a huge hole on the Islanders' goal. Torres was giving it to him, and Michkov wasn't holding back either. So there's something with that. Michkov, we'll say, has a little bit of a short temper.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I don't know that that's a bad thing necessarily, but I'm just saying to his credit, like he's a tough guy.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Charlie O'Connor also put out there that Michkov was benched for the remainder of the second period after that play.
He was? Okay.
And that maybe they will talk via translator and intermission and he'll get back in, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, let's. We got a
Super chat.
super chat.
Oh, jeez.
Very nice.
We'll do this first before the trivia, Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you to J.E. Fruscione. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I cannot stand Tortorella. They're losing and do not have much offense, and he benches Michkov. What did he do? Score a disallowed goal. JT can't be allowed to coach this team going forward. Look, Michkov has been struggling, guys, and it's not played great. And I know that he had the goal that got pulled off, right, that got taken off the board. He's fine on the power play. That's what he does. That's what he does very, very well. But there are mistakes that he keeps making in his game that the Flyers don't want him to have happen on a regular basis. And when he makes a mistake like that on that play, you know it's going to fire up the coach.
And
He's not going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
And so he's going to say something. I say good on the kid for answering back.
Well, there's certain coaches that love when you yell back at them.
And I think Torts is one of them.
Yeah, he might like that, yeah. The more you actually scream back at him, I've played for coaches like that where they yell at you, and as soon as you scream back, they don't say anything. They kind of get taken aback. And it's an awful feeling because I was always raised, don't ever, be respectful of your coaches and treat them with, but sometimes you can't help it. Like when you're sitting in a game and you got a coach just whining at you, like, it's enough's enough sometimes.
Yeah.
Was Michkov just yelling at him in Russian then? Would they even understand each other?
Well, who knows what he's... I mean, I'm sure Michkov knows some English. I know and I'm sure...
Because you said they needed a translator, so...
No, but to have the... Charlie was suggesting that they get together with the translator between periods to kind of talk about specifics. But I'm sure that the words that they are saying, yelling at each other on the bench, are words that work in both English and Russian.
Okay.
Words that you don't normally say on the Press Row show.
And 4-letter words?
Some of those. Yes.
All right.
Is everything okay?
All right. It's time for trivia time with intern Andrew.
Let's do trivia. You can hold the instruments.
We're not doing the singing tonight without Russ.
No, it's all right.
This is acapella.
Yeah. Bundy's going for it anyway. Thank you. So I would say the irony in this question is actually interesting because the last time Russ wasn't here, and it was the three of us doing trivia, I think if I remember correctly, the Flyers actually had a goal in that game disallowed also, this time because of offsides. And Anthony, you brought up the infamous Flyers-Islanders Stanley Cup missed offsides.
Yes.
Leon Stickle.
So I went back and looked a little bit into that. And the Islanders ended up winning that Game 6 to clinch the Stanley Cup because of an overtime goal scored by Bob Nystrom.
Yes.
Since then, there have been 5 players that have scored Stanley Cup winning goals in overtime. Can you name them?
Alec Martinez.
That is the most recent, yes.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane.
Second most recent.
Stanley Cup game winning goal.
Oh,
right?
who scored the one for Dallas?
Oh, Brett Hull.
Brett Hull. Well, no, he was skating the crease.
Yeah,
right?
but that was a game winning
Right.
Stanley
Yeah,
Cup goal.
Brett Hull is correct.
Yeah, Brett Hull.
If we're speaking of controversy.
Yeah.
Nothing more controversial than that one.
That one absolutely with Hasek. Hasek was unbelievable in that.
How many are there? There's 5 total?
5. So that's 3.
You need 2 more.
Stanley Cup, like sudden death, right? It ends the game at sudden death.
It won the entire thing.
The Devils.
Jason Arnott.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, I couldn't remember his name.
You're rolling.
Good call, Anthony.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Who the hell else is there?
That was our cup that year. We blew it.
Exactly.
Boy, that's a tough one. How much farther back are you going?
Well, since 1980, right?
Yeah.
Oh, since 1980. Okay.
So we've got 4 of them.
I keep thinking the Montreal Canadiens for some reason.
Oh no, the one that ended the Panthers and they threw all the rats on the ice. Colorado,
Uwe Krupp.
That is correct.
Uwe Krupp. Very good. Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Nice job, Bundy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way to tag team that one, buddy.
Good job, man. Yeah, you pulled
I just remembered the rats going onto the ice to end for the Stanley Cup celebration.
So I'm looking at the list right now that has every player that's ever done it. Obviously, I wasn't going to make you name every single player, but the list of names here, the Rangers before the '94 Stanley Cup win, the last time was 1940, correct?
Yes.
Do you know who had the overtime winning goal for the Rangers in 1940?
Oh God, no.
It'd be Ron Hextall's grandfather, Brian Hextall.
Oh, how about that?
Really? Was the one that sudden death ending Stanley Cup playoff?
Yes, in Game 6.
Wow.
And by the Krupp goal, by the way, the Panthers goalie was a former Flyer, John Van Beesbroek.
Yes, it was. I remember it. I remember it well.
It all comes full circle here.
You want to go back and have a fun time. Go back and watch the documentary. I think ESPN did it. I think it was ESPN. About that whole thing with the rats and the Florida Panthers in 1995.
Okay.
It's a fun documentary. Former Flyer Scott Mellenby was responsible for the whole thing.
Killed the rat, right?
Killed it in the locker room. He took a slap shot, smashed it against the wall, and then put a big X on the wall where the rat died.
I did see on YouTube. I guess in 2007 was the 40-year anniversary of the Flyers. It was like a 2-hour, 45-minute movie that just gives the history of the team. I had to go back and watch that, so hopefully you guys can't roast me anymore for not knowing anything before 2007.
Yeah.
But I will get into that. But yeah, good job on the trivia. That was good.
Yeah, not bad.
4 in a row, the Islanders won at that stretch. Unbelievable. You have anything new there, Schefter?
Sorry, I'm working on it. I'm trying, guys.
Anthony Schefter.
I'm trying here, boys. Doing my best.
All right, a couple stats as we get ready for the third period here. We know that the Flyers do have a tendency to come back in the third period. They're one of the best in the league to do it. When trailing after 2 periods, the Flyers are 6-18-1 this year. However, the Islanders, when leading, are 16-2-2. So this is 2 goals in the third period is going to be tough to come back from.
Hearing a lot of stuff. If you're hearing anything about Kolosov, we got our guy Anthony SanFilippo on it, but this is seems to be there's a lot of Goalie names out there. If anybody else is that confirmed? The only reason we don't know is we're doing intermission. That's why we don't know. So we're using the fans because we love you guys.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see. It's possible.
There's a lot of I found that 6 people put it up in a matter of 15 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll have updates after the period. We got a minute and stuff. We'll hang out with you guys here until the puck drops. So if Anthony can dig anything out. I don't see any action in the Flyers box over there.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to a couple.
The tension's palpable.
Talking to a couple of the Flyers people actually in that intermission. And one guy talking about defensemen, it sounds like Andre is going to get may get the call back up, but it also sounds like they really are high on Helge Grans.
There were a couple people in the comments in pregame saying they wanted. There was some hashtag free Helge Grans going around.
They're very, very high on him. So
all right, well.
Yeah, no.
One more thing?
I think. Well, we said it pregame, Bundy. You weren't here, but yeah, Emil Andre will play. I believe Sunday in Colorado. I believe that's the plan. Although, who knows with this happening and things moving around and how the rosters get put together, there might be something else to it. But we'll see.
We will be.
The interesting thing we should do is we should turn around and see if there's anybody missing from the bench. We'll let you know post-game.
We'll let you know post-game. Keep an eye on it for yourselves watching the third. Enjoy.
All right, talk to you in a bit. All right, well, that was fun. The only person in the building right now that I think is happy is Anthony because he was able to have his AP story written halfway through the third period, basically. But Anthony's with us now and still working on getting the details for that trade. As soon as we know, you'll know. But until then, this is the Press Row Show.
It may not
rated,
happen.
blah, 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 blah.
It may not happen tonight. So.
Well, it may. I mean, so I was told that the plan is to try and get it done for tonight, but that there are a lot of moving parts to this deal. There's multiple players involved. It might actually involve moving another player elsewhere as well. Like, there's a lot going on here tonight. Nothing is confirmed. I'm not even sure that the whole thing with Morgan Frost leaving has anything to do with the trade.
Is there an injury, right?
Yeah, there might have been an injury there. So there's a lot to be figured out. I think that the main player in the deal, I believe, is Joel Farabee.
Is Farabee okay?
Yeah.
It's a curveball.
Yeah. I believe it's Farabee. And that they wanted to wait until after the game was over because he was still playing. Actually, he was on the ice.
The last shift of the game.
And it was funny. We were like, can you imagine if he scored a goal on that like last 30 seconds of that game and then he gets traded right after that?
What a way to go out.
But I don't have that with 100% certainty, but I do hear that Jacob Pelletier is also part of this deal, former first-round pick of the Flames. 2019, he's only 23 years old. He's only played 60 games in the NHL over 3 seasons. Hasn't really kind of fit there. He's a winger, though. So that's a little bit of another, like, hey, what are you doing? You're just trading out one winger and bringing in another. Be kind of curious to see what else is part of this. I don't know if there's draft picks. I know they were being discussed. I'm going back and forth with 3 different people, and 2 of them are telling me different things.
Oh, it's always fun.
So it's kind of a tough one to kind of figure out at this point. But it's definitely something happening. I think that there's got to be more to it than just player for player.
People are still restless in the comments.
Of course, fans are always going to be restless. That's something you got to understand, right? I've been around and Bundy's been around even longer than me. Fans are always restless, right, Bundy?
They are.
They're never happy.
They want what they want. They want it now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter sometimes you make a trade for in this town as long as you get a change of scenery and some new blood comes in and the fans get happy about it. I don't know if Anthony, you know more than us in terms of what's going on with this, but. Could it be 2 players? Could it be Kuzmenko also?
So Kuzmenko is part of that. He is part of the deal. What I'm not sure about is if he is 100% coming here.
Right. He has to be willing to waive his.
He's got a no trade clause. The Flyers may be on it. He has 1 year left on his deal, so maybe it's a thing where he's just being traded through here. And the Flyers retain some of that salary to get him somewhere else. I don't have that, but something is happening there. Kuzmenkov and Pelletier seem to be the guys that are involved in this initial part of this trade for the Flyers. Whether both of them end up in Philadelphia, I'm not 100% sure right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. I don't know how much there is to even say about this game that we just watched.
It was a flat game.
It's now back-to-back shutouts for the Flyers.
Yeah, they've had a really hard time scoring goals.
This is bad, and now 5 out of the last 6, they've gotten 1 or fewer goals in regulation. I know I keep bringing that stat up, but it keeps ringing true. So the elephant in the room, other than potential trade rumors, Matvei Michkov did not see the ice in the third period after that screaming match he got in with Torts in the second. So evidently their conversation intermission didn't go swimmingly.
Well, maybe they didn't have that conversation.
Or that's a possibility also.
Yeah. Maybe it's like, hey, you're going to yell at me? You're not going to play.
So I won't speak for everybody, but I think I'm speaking for some people when I say I think this is what bothers people about Torts is that whether you think the Flyers can get to the playoffs or not, you said in pregame, every game is important going here forward when they're in the thick of this race right now. Is there not something to be said that it might be a little bit ridiculous that in a game you're losing to a division rival by 2 goals in the third period, you're benching the second or third best player on the team?
The optics of it are not good, right? I mean, I get it, right? It doesn't look good to have that happen for the guy who is supposed to. I mean, the reason that this building was full tonight, probably, was fans bought tickets because they were hoping to see Matvei Michkov. Right. He was the attraction this year, right? That was the only real addition to this team, and there's a lot of excitement about what he's going to be and be kind of like the best player for the organization going forward. You're going to build around him. And all of a sudden, Torts has decided to kind of, Michkov has hit a little bit of a wall. I'm not trying to make it seem like, Torts is just being punitive here, like for no reason. I mean, Michkov has not played well. But you do it for a game. You do it for 2 games, okay, fine. But this is multiple games now where his ice time has been significantly reduced.
He had 9 the other night, right?
Yeah, I think it was 9 and change or whatever it was. And then tonight, you get into a shouting match with him, and now he's not getting on the ice, and he's one of your best offensive players, and your team hasn't scored, and he's got to sit on the ice. Morgan Frost is out of the game for whatever reason, whether it's an injury or he's involved in this crazy thing with Calgary, who knows. I think it's more injury, but I'm not, again, not 100% on that. So you're down Frost already, who's one of your top 6 forwards.
Right, and he was aware. We don't know why Frost wasn't there, but the fact of the matter is he wasn't there.
Right.
And Torts is aware of that.
And you heard a rumor he got injured.
Yeah.
From a good source.
Yeah,
so, let's even say that's
why
true.
I think it's an injury. I think it was an injury. It doesn't mean he's not part of the deal, but I think there was an injury there, and maybe that's why the trade has to be kind of reconfigured. But we'll see. Anyway.
My point being is that Torts is well aware that Frost is not on the bench, and they're already shorthanded with forwards, and he's benching another forward.
At some point, you have to sit there and say, what's the cost-benefit analysis here, right, of doing this? Like, is the benefit going to be continued better play from him down the line? And at what cost? Okay, it's going to cost us this game. We're going to be shorthanded. We're probably not coming back against this Islanders team that you should beat. They're shorthanded. I know they've played well lately, but they were behind you in the standings. You should beat this Islanders team, and you don't. And you're taking your best offensive weapon off the ice, and including you had a power play there, and he didn't even put him on the ice there.
Right.
Yeah. So
if they score there, it's 2-1, and you're still in it.
Right. Exactly. And so the fact of the matter is that you're looking at like you got to weigh the two, one against the other, and I'm not sure in this instance, in this case, that it's the right call to have him benched for the entirety of the period. Yeah. Again, we're looking at it in a vacuum.
It all depends what happened in that screaming
right.
match.
Right. We're looking at it in a vacuum, right?
Right.
So yeah.
It just seems like, and you guys know far more about hockey than
I've heard guys with coaches, like Hitch, for example.
No.
You heard the way some guys spoke to Hitch. They would never play a game again in the league, but they were out next shift.
Yeah. Well, and I think also, Bundy, it was a different era then too, right? I mean, like you guys got away with probably a little bit more, and coaches got away in turn with a little bit more towards players, both ways. I think that there was more. There was more of a give and take back in your day than there is now.
I would say that's a true fact. Yeah.
Right.
There was less accountability then.
Yeah.
Like now everybody. I mean, they know everything that goes on with you. On the ice, off the ice. But yeah, I mean, there was. Yeah, guys would battle back with coaches. I don't mind Michkov doing that. I mean, if he was really ticked off or pissed off about what happened, there's nothing wrong sometimes with giving a respectful word to your coach, but I don't know. I didn't see the screaming match. I'm sure it'll be on the replays later, and we'll get a look at it, but that's probably what led to the whole third period benching.
Yeah, and not only so, Manny Problems mentions this. I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. He says Torts is from that era, and he is, but Michkov's not, and so maybe that's part of the why we're at loggerheads here, right? I mean,
But he's got to be grandfathered in.
No, what I'm saying is that you have an old school mentality coach versus a new school elite player, and they butt heads a little bit.
So you're saying like if Couturier had gone at him, he wouldn't have been benched?
Couturier probably gets a little bit more gravitas.
No doubt.
Okay.
Because of his clout as the captain and as a veteran player, right, as opposed to being a 20-year-old
Okay.
rookie.
If you had to guess, I know we're not big into speculating, but if you had to guess,
go ahead.
do you think the benching was more because of the mistake or because of the screaming match? Okay.
The mistake. And then the screaming match, I didn't see it again. If that really went down, then that probably added to it.
We didn't see it. This is one of the real negatives of where we are. We love our location, right? But one of the real negatives is we don't get the replays that they have over across the way in the press box.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't get to see all that stuff that's going on. A lot of the beat guys that you follow, Charlie and Kevin Kurz and Jordan and all those guys, Jackie, the reason that they all have it is because they get to see all those replays from press row.
Right.
Here, we get nothing but what's on the scoreboard. Like we have a TV right above us, but it's the scoreboard feed. It's not the stuff that the press box gets. So we didn't get to see the shouting match between Torts and Mishkov. So, we couldn't do any lip reading and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But hearing that there might be some draft picks coming back the Flyers' way too.
Okay. There's that at least.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Russ will be happy to hear that. He loves draft picks.
Yeah, well, who knows where they are, what round, when. They could be 26. You got to remember, you can only draft so many guys next year.
Yeah.
Right? You really can.
They're not all going to play. It's just the way it goes.
Draft everybody.
Exactly.
Odds are one of them is going to pan out. I don't know. Bundy, can you give like a family-friendly version of the most heated exchange you've ever heard on the bench?
No.
not even. You can't even give a
not
PG
even.
version.
I cannot give you a family.
Okay,
version.
well, here's one for you. Can you say who it was between?
Yeah, Jeremy Roenick and Ken Hitchcock.
There you go. Okay,
It's always Hitch.
Just imagine.
and always JR too.
It was.
Was that on the bench or was it in the locker room?
It was so foul and so vulgar that I could do nothing except put my head down and start laughing until I had tears coming out of my eyes.
I bet you weren't the only one.
I've yelled at Hitch too, but with JR.
No. I bet you weren't the only one laughing.
Oh no, the whole bench was.
Did someone have to get between them?
No.
Just let it go.
No, just what he said. It's like, just imagine the worst thing you could say to Hitch, considering
I can't
what you're
imagine.
looking at behind the bench, and then just take it from there. How's that for family friendly?
Yeah, that's as family friendly. It's as family friendly as it gets. But it's classic though, right? Because Hitch doled it out, and JR doled it back a lot. It's just two personalities.
He said to me one night, this was clean. He said to me one night, Bundy, you look like you're playing in the Ice Capades. This was like beginning of the game, right? Like I don't know what. Had too much of a skill shift for Hitch, I guess.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I said, "Thank God you're not in the Ice Capades."
See him in a tutu?
In a tutu.
Oh, that's funny. Somebody had a question for you, and I just lost it. I wanted to get it up because I thought it was a fun historical question back to your days playing. Hold on. What was? Oh, that's what it was because it relates to the Islanders. Tony Louie asking Bundy, what was it like playing against Patty Waugh? Was he intimidating as a goaltender?
Yeah, he was a great goalie and competitive, ultra competitive. He gave his team a swagger that not many goalies can give a team a swagger. I remember Johnny Leclerc, great story. He told us they were playing the LA Kings in the finals in '93. And Patrick Waugh came after the second period, and he stood up in the locker room and said, "Boys, we'll play here all night long if you want in overtime because they won't score a goal on me. So if it takes us all night long for us to win, we're going to win because I'm not giving up another goal." And they never gave up another goal. Montreal won it in overtime. And that's kind of leadership when you have a guy do that. Man, I'll tell you what, the confidence that exudes from you after that is just immortal. It's legendary when you can have a goaltender. I've never had a goaltender been able to do that. So I got you guys.
Yeah.
You got to really be able to call your shot, and you got to have a ton of confidence and a belief in your own ability. And Patrick Waugh did that. That's why he's one of the top 3 greatest goalies to ever play the game.
Well, a question actually just popped into my head because of that. I know that the game is a lot different now than it was when he was playing. Do you think the fact that he was a goalie for so long, it played into why he challenged the goalie interference?
Yeah, I think so. I think he saw his goalie make a claim, and then maybe quickly got a quick video replay from someone, said give it a shot, and it made the right call. But
those video coaches are fantastic.
Yeah, they do a great job. They get the angles so quick, and they have to move so fast.
Yeah, they're really, really good. I was just told that Kuzi officially waived his no trade clause. Flyers were on the list.
Okay.
And he officially waived it. So that allows the deal to kind of go forward.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, again, things are happening nonstop. Yeah. I thought I was getting another message.
Well, keep your ears pinned to the ground, and it's been a late night here because of the 7:30 start. So.
Yep, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Let's,
So we'll
let's
wrap it up here because obviously I got work to do, and we'll get it out to you guys as soon as really possible. But appreciate everybody staying with us all night. We had a big crowd tonight.
Massive crowd tonight. Yeah.
I mean online. That's I'm not talking about in the building. There was a good crowd in the
building.
building.
Was a good crowd here.
Good
tonight.
crowd in the building.
They
Didn't see anything worth a damn, but we had a good crowd online, and we see the numbers, so it was really good stuff. We will be back Tuesday, right, Bundy? Tuesday is the next
Tuesday
podcast.
I also have an
podcast,
I also have an
here
announcement.
Thursday.
Next Friday night, I'm going to be playing in the Snyder Pro-Am. I guess they're calling it. It's a hockey game at 6:30 next Friday night, so I'm going to be playing in that, Anthony.
Where is that? Here?
It's here, at the Wells Fargo. So they've got a pretty good list of guys playing. So I'm gonna go out and put the skates on for my annual twirl around the ice, and hopefully not pull anything.
Make sure you stretch.
You were struggling a little bit last year.
I was
for a couple days.
I was for a couple days, but I'm going to take it easy. And if you feel like turning me into a turnstile again, go ahead and do it, because I'm not going to be putting a whole lot into it. I'm going to be a human obstacle, is what I'm going to be.
Is Yager playing in this or no?
You mean you'll actually be the for the first time, Bundy? You will actually be the traffic cone.
Yes, I'll be the traffic cone. I've had that one before. I don't know if people knew this. Someone said something about Yager or something, and when my nickname when we used to play the Penguins, the guys in our locker room would say, "Don't worry, we got the Jagermeister." So that's what they used to.
I like it, the Jagermeister.
That's pretty good.
Nickname, yeah. They call me the Jagermeister.
That's good. Good stuff. All right, so Tuesday back for Snow the Goalie live. 10:30 is our time.
In and around there, yeah.
Yeah, roughly 10:30. And then we're not back here till next week, right? Next Thursday.
A week from today, the next press row show against my favorite team, the Washington Capitals.
And let's not say anything mean about Russ on the way out, because he'll be all upset.
Definitely not. Russ, we love you.
Get better, buddy. Get better. I heard the fever spiked to 109.
Oh God, how's he going to get through the night?
109. It's up to. It's poor guy.
Well, the trade talk is actually spiking his fever.
That's what it is.
He's so mad he missed this whole night too. He's been waiting for a night like this for years.
I know.
All right.
Wait. What's this?
One more? One more for the road? One more update?
No, nothing else.
Okay.
It was something, but it had nothing to do with the trade.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. Appreciate all the support. Snow the Goalie Tuesday, Press Row Show Thursday. Until then, see you later.
See you later, everyone.